Cause I don't care what you think.
Laura!
Laura?
Oh, shoot, you recognize me.
Oh, shoot, you recognize me. We got to go back real quick on this.
Laura? Laura. Don, you recognize me.
Well, it was either you or the Phantom of the Opera.
You see, that was baby Laura. And it's the same situation, right? If you know the situation, she was going out with Steve on her non-date when she was baby Laura. And you see her with Steve here. With the same person. And just asking a question real quick. Why is Laura, now she's joking here, but why does she feel the need to hide? Remember, it's just her family. No friends are there. It's just her family. This is what we're talking about in this video. It's Steve and Laura time. Let's get it.
Why are you two wearing? What is that you two are wearing?
It's flamenco. He's been doing this all night.
Huh.
Every time he hears the word flamenco. Flamenco!
Laura, you knew. She just said he's been doing this all night. Every time Laura, I've said this many times before, and I don't think people really recognize it. Laura likes Steve's attention, right? And so what is he doing right now? He's not just dancing flamenco. He's dancing around her. Laura likes this attention from Steve. She likes the attention.
But why are you wearing that?
Well, Steve always dresses to match the food he eats. And we went to El Cid tonight for Spanish food.
Right.
Okay. So how did he convince you to dress flamenco?
You're just like, you know, your daughter is walking in happy. Happy. She's the... Y'all know that from The Boys? She's walking in happy, having a good time, growing, maturing, all of that stuff. And Carl just looks like Laura had to grow to a place to where, you know, she's at a better place to where her family doesn't bother her as much. Because you see, she's getting nothing from her dad. Her dad's just like, well, how did he get you to do all this? Like, why are you doing this? What are you doing this for? What is this? Who are you? Right? And so this is the stuff I keep saying that Laura has had to overcome. Okay? All right. But Steve on his flamenco. Steve on his flamenco.
It was funny. He had to drag me down here, but I ended up having one of the best times of my life.
Woo, gosh. Do we need to bring this back? Laura said this once before.
Me up in a limousine and we dance the night away. That'd be the best time of my entire life.
Best time of my entire...
It's a nice fantasy. No, it's not a fantasy because you made it all come true.
I think Steve and Laura, and I'm actually glad, but I think Steve and Laura really need to have these moments to themselves. Because if you look at it, the moments when Steve and Laura grow, or when they grew, became closer, connected, is when they're by themselves. It's not when they're around all these other people or even doing anything super major. It's when it's just them.
Laura, I love you.
Woo.
Steve?
I'm so happy.
I love you too.
Woo! Oh, gosh. Steve and Laura exchanging I love yous. It's literally one of the greatest things ever to happen on a sitcom. But what I really love here is how Laura, which a lot of y'all haters and ignorant people don't respect, Laura took her time. Laura waited till the right time to tell Steve, I love you. The most powerful thing you will ever say to somebody is I love you when you really mean it. And so I love that Laura took the time out to wait till she was ready, to wait till it was right, so where she could back up everything she's saying. I love you. Huh, Steve? Oh.
Hey, sweetheart.
Oh, you know Mom had a fight?
Right.
How'd you know?
Well, the only time you're honest when Mom's mad at you.
Well, she's not mad at me. It's worse. She's disappointed in me.
And don't we remember that? Do we remember that when Carl told Laura that, right?
You're not gonna yell at me?
No, Laura, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm too disappointed to yell at you.
And it's because disappointment is so hard versus being mad and angry. It's hard to get back in that, in the pocket with that person when they're disappointed in you. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting, just the dynamics and stuff that's going on.
Ouch. D word.
The D word, right, Laura?
Laura, let me bounce something off of you.
The D word.
Let's say your boyfriend gives you a nice piece of jewelry.
Steve.
And it happens to be a guy that you really love.
Well, of course I love him. He gave me jewelry.
Right.
You find out that he, intended it for another girl. How would you feel?
Hurt, upset, disappointed. Daddy, what secondhand jewelry did you give Mom?
Oh, father-daughter, right? We have father-daughter dance. We had some father-daughter situations, where Laura was, put on the dress and went and did the stand-up centipede. We had all that stuff going on. But grown woman with a wealth of knowledge of being a grown woman. And so now you're seeing Papa get advice from his daughter. Like you did. And this is also an indication of how much Laura's matured, which a lot of y'all seem to forget.
You're actually beginning to think of me as an adult?
I'm trying.
That right? So this is such a beautiful moment right here. She's all woman, and she's given not a daughter's perspective on their marriage. She's given a woman's perspective on the situation.
Daddy, what secondhand jewelry did you give Mom? A watch? A bracelet?
Well, it might have been sort of kind of like a engagement ring.
I'm going to be ironing for a long time.
Exactly.
Why are women so sentimental about these things?
Ooh.
On behalf of all women everywhere, excuse me.
Right. Again, though, we have to look at the situation. Laura is coming from a woman's point of view. She's not coming from a daughter's point of view. Women so sentimental about these things. Laura's like, hold up, bruh. Hold up. Excuse me. Now they're in a place where they can legit talk adult to adult. Right? He can go to his daughter and get advice. See where I'm going? For the longest time when Laura was younger, right? A teenage love. When she was younger, she was getting the point of view from her father, when it pertains to men. You feel what I'm saying? Okay. All right.
Oh, Laura, this ring to me is a symbol. A symbol of my love for your mother. And I felt nothing but love when I presented it.
I got nothing but love for you, baby.
You remember the day you bought that ring?
You bet I do. It was a rainy Saturday in May, 1972. And I had just finished trimming my afro.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
I know. That must have been a long time ago, huh? A long time ago. We see specks. We only see a little bit of it now.
And when you picked out that diamond, did you have a picture in your mind the smiler would bring?
Well, of course.
And tell me, whose face was that smile attached to?
Ooh.
I'm going to be ironing for a long time.
Do you see the advice? Oh my gosh. This is what I love. This is why Laura's my favorite. What did she just tell? What I loved that Laura did right there was not get in the middle of their marriage at all. Right? She did not get in the middle of her. She did not give an opinion based on da-da-da. He asked her a question. She answered the question. And the other big thing, this is why I love Laura. This is why Laura's my favorite. The other big thing that Laura did was made her not only think about it, but picture it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I love that's what I love so much about Laura, that people don't recognize. Laura is a phenomenal communicator. This is the wisdom and the intelligence of Laura Winslow. I also love the fact that her father did not reject anything she said. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I love the dynamic. And now you're seeing it, they're grown-ups, but I love the dynamic.
I have something very important to ask you, Carl. Please, stand up.
Get on up now. Come on
What do you
up
want to ask me?
now.
Laura Winslow, I, SteveUrkel,
Respectfully.
request permission to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage.
Steve.
Let's be real. Carl has not been supportive of Steve and Laura time. He has not been supportive of that. So this probably had to be really, really exciting for Steve in one sense, but probably also very intimidating, because it's different if Carl was always like, "Hey, I know you love my daughter, man. Hey, I'll talk to her, man. I hope y'all work out." It's the opposite of that. But Steve is still coming face to face, man to man, and I think you should get props for that.
Let me get this straight. Laura, my daughter Laura, has agreed to marry you.
Oh, no, not yet. I just wanted your blessing before I asked her.
Oh, yeah. For a minute, that's...
Here we go again, where Carl is laughing in Steve's face over something pertaining to Laura.
A little giddy. Tonight is my big date with Laura.
Oh. Excuse me, for a moment there, I thought you said you actually had a date with Laura.
The intimidating factor that Steve has with Carl, what do you think Laura has with her family? And that is her family. Her dad right now is laughing at Steve, who Laura is in love with. Pick up vibes. Laura has been picking up the vibe of her father and of her parents, that they're not very supportive. So even if Laura, walked in her freedom, right? If she walked in her freedom, there's still a lot she's going to have to deal with. Forget about the outside world. The stuff that she's going to have to deal with in her home. Because Carl is once again laughing in Steve's face over something very serious and very special and true to Steve's heart.
Ask away.
Oh, thank you, Carl.
Well,
thank
okay.
you. I can really ask her.
Yes, okay, let me go.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, let me go now.
Thank you. Boy, I feel so much better now. For a second there, I thought Laura had, lost her mind.
Again, just want to point out, this is Laura's father. Okay? This is, again, looking at the dynamic. How do the relationships of Steve, Laura, and Carl, how do they impact each other? If you guys think that this type of mentality from Papa, he's a great dad, but this type of mentality from Papa, if you don't think Carl's interaction with Steve impacts Laura, I don't know what you're watching.
So Steve popped the question?
Well, now don't get ahead of me. It's not that simple. Of course, nothing is simple when SteveUrkel's involved.
Once again, what is Carl doing? Laughing in the face of Steve, something that is pertaining to Laura. I need people to ask the question, why is that? Let's go back here for a second.
Laura. Darn, you recognize me.
Laura?
Oh, shoot, you recognize me.
Now, we saw both those times with baby Laura and then, and then big Laura, oh, shoot, you recognize me, right? And it's all in fun and, he and the ha-has. But again, I asked the question, why do you think Laura has that response? Why do you think Laura trying to be on her creep? You know what I'm saying? Both times, like, oh, shoot. Now, she's playing around. But again, why do you think she's doing that? And this is what I've been saying. What are we looking at? The Carl, Laura, Steve. How do their interactions affect, one another? How, and you're seeing this here with Steve, where Carl is laughing in this man's face multiple times about his daughter. And Carl knows how much Steve actually loves Laura. He's proven it through the years, right? So my question is, how do you think this affects Laura? If Steve is getting laughed at in the face by her daddy, what do you think Laura's family may have done? She just came out and just said, you know what? Steve's a great guy. I love Steve. Da, 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 da. One thing that you have to look at is Laura and Steve and Laura's maturation. I wonder if people peep game on this. Laura has not taken her family on the journey with her. That's why I said in the video, it's so good that Steve and Laura have those moments to themselves, because it's actually what built them. It's actually what brought them together. If you notice, when it comes to Steve and Laura, their togetherness and all that is not in the midst of her family. It's not, right? So Laura has not told none parents how she feels about Steve. She hasn't told them as of yet. It's coming, right? Because the big things, the fireworks are coming, but she hasn't yet. And again, you have to ask why. And this is all I'm saying is, when people want to go and judge Laura, because a lot of y'all just really haters, and you got hate in your heart, you got issues, you got some issues there. But people never think about this aspect when it comes to Laura, the family dynamic. People never think about this when it comes to Laura, her father. People never think about this when it comes to Laura, that her family is not really for them like that. They if you look at it, what the Winslows do, and I think they do a great job of it, because like I said, SteveUrkel is not a perfect man. He's a good man, but he's not a perfect man. He's irritating, he gets on your nerves, and all this other type of stuff. Oh, he breaks stuff, he does stuff, but one thing that I've continued to say, and I've said many times, is Laura has a connection and a vibe with Steve that none of the rest of her family have.
Look, I know SteveUrkel is annoying, but what he said is right, and I'm glad he showed up when he did, because I forgot something.
What's that?
My parents trust me.
Well, I wanted to go back and look at that, because what Laura says is so extremely powerful. What does she say? And this is the difference. This is what separates Laura from the rest of her family. What did she say? I know Steve is annoying. I know he's annoying, but he's right. And I'm glad that he came when he did, right? That is the difference with Laura. And see, some of y'all think that that's wrong of Laura, and it's not. Laura understands this is Steve. He gets on my nerves sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I might get on his nerves sometimes, but Laura understands, that everything that Steve does is coming from a good place. And that is very, very important. But this is, again, like I said, it's what separates Steve and Laura from the rest. And again, I just want to say, we have to look at it, and, moms and pops and even brother, nobody has been on their Steve and Laura time.
Sounds like SteveUrkel.
It is.
Ooh. That's not a mercy date. That's a Lord have mercy date.
Wow.
Very funny.
Lose your sense of humor, Mrs. Urkel.
I miss SteveUrkel.
Oh, you need professional help.
Oh.
Friend, DeAndre Moore.
Well, you got a lot of nerve talking about somebody else's boyfriend. You going out with SteveUrkel.
We see there's so much more, guys. There's just not a lot. Laura does not have a lot of support, right? Steve and Laura have not had a lot of support from the family. And that's all I'm saying is, like, can you consider that? Now, again, like I said before, I think some people don't, because some of y'all just hateful. Some of y'all don't realize that you really hate Laura, but really in your heart, you really admire her. That's why you actually, do people realize that you show your colors when you straight out just hate on somebody for not, and it's not logical? It usually means that you actually think they are that, but you don't want to admit it because they actually are a threat to you. And that's what it's the impact of Laura Winslow. But the truth, let me get back to my point. But the truth is, there has not been a lot of support. And you have to ask yourself, why is it that Laura is falling in love with Steve? They're having these moments. She has told Steve.
Steve,
I'm so happy.
I love you too.
Woo! We saw there, she has told Steve that she loved him. She's in his arms. She's polka dancing with him. She's doing eating strange foods and dressing up, all this. And the parents have no idea. Because why would she tell them? Because there's never been support from that direction. You feel what I'm saying? So I want people just to consider that when it comes to Laura. Like I said, the father dynamic and the family dynamic. And again, what I also love, let's go to the family dynamic though. I love the father, and this is let me make sure I say this. I am not saying by any means that Carl is a bad dad. What I've continued to say is parent does not mean perfect. That's what we got to understand. Parent does not mean perfect. Once you realize that, you will have so much more grace right? You'll probably get along better with your parents once you realize that they're not, these perfect beings. So Carl is a phenomenal father. He has exemplified so many great things to Laura, but it just so happens that who God has called her to, right? Who God has picked out for her just happens to be the nerdy, irritating next door neighbor. And the family, I feel as a whole, has not really figured out how to deal with that. And Laura has had to figure it out along the way. What I love about the relationship of Carl and Laura was in that moment when Laura, it's like the roles were reversed to where Carl's the one that's giving her the advice on the guys and then this and then that. And now she's giving the advice, and not just from a daughter perspective, but from a grown woman perspective. Okay. I loved how Carl asked Laura her opinion and he received it. I know there's a lot of times and situations, some of you guys may have experienced it. I love my parents, but even I've experienced it where they may ask you a question and you answer the question and they don't like the answer you gave them. And it starts an issue. You know what I'm saying? So I love how Carl here took in everything that Laura said. Because if you look at it, Laura didn't just pat him on the back. She challenged him. Laura, in so many words, respectfully, like she always does, basically told him that he's in the wrong and he needs to fix it. And you know what I'm saying? Long story short. But in the adult woman, I will respect you as my father. You are my parents type of way. But that's what she told him. And Carl was completely open and receptive. And that is what makes him a great father. And that is what has been exemplified to Laura. That is why she is just such a phenomenal woman, right? But again, just looking at the interactions of this, and I think just like I said, people just don't recognize that, Carl's interaction with Steve does affect Laura, father, right? We don't all have Harriet for a mother. We got to deal with the reality of what we were birthed into, what we were born into, and we have to kind of deal with that and face that. And that's what I want to encourage you in. I don't care what's been said to you. I don't care what's happened to you. I don't care, what people have done to you. You are not a mistake. You are not a mistake. You are here with purpose. You are here with divine purpose. And your life absolutely matters. I understand that there's rejection over here, and there's pain over here, and there's devaluing over here. But I'm here to let you know you matter. Your life matters. Your gifts and ability, your personality, your smile, your heart, everything about you matters. Everything about you is needed on this earth. Not only with purpose, but he made you with a purpose in mind. And let me let you know, there are people that are actually called to your purpose. So maybe it may not be this person. Maybe it isn't your mom. Maybe it isn't your dad. Maybe it isn't a grandma. Maybe it isn't a parental. But God has people that are called to you. So look to him for that. Believe in him for that. Keep your eyes open for him for that. Because there's people that are called to you. It's not an easy thing. It messes with your mind. It messes with how you see yourself, how you value yourself. And that's the positive I would say about Carl that is so dope. And I'll read a couple scriptures and end it there. But let me say this: I love this when it comes to Steve and Carl, because Steve and Carl give Laura kind of the same thing. They think very highly of her. They treat her very, very good. You know what I'm saying? And there's also that comfort, you'll see it with Laura later, but you saw Laura like not in her mama's arm. She was in her daddy's arm, needing comfort from her dad. And Steve kind of gives Laura, not in the same way, of course, but Steve kind of gives Laura that same comfort, because he's smart, because he's intelligent, because Laura believes in his mind that whatever impossible situations, Steve somehow can figure it out. We'll consider that. And when you go and want to judge Laura so harshly, but also maybe even some areas in your life and maybe giving yourself grace and be like, hey, I didn't realize I was a product of my environment there. I didn't realize that I picked up that habit. That's why the Bible says, why is it that what I want to do, I don't do, and what I don't want to do, I do? Because a lot of times we're raised in these situations, we're raised in these environments, and then we walk out into the world, you know, with those things, you know, of the experience of those environments. And then we get into situations and we're like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why do I act like that? Why am I like that? Why do I feel this way? Right? And because all these things are influenced. Again, encourage you, if you do not have a supporting parent, a mother, a father, there is a heavenly Father who loves you, who made you, you know what I'm saying, has great things in store for you. You know, you are not rejected, you are loved. You know, you are not alone. You may not understand why you do what you do. You may not understand certain things about you. There may be people around you that don't understand things about you, but God understands. Our Father understands. He knows us better than anybody, and that should really be a comfort. I want to just encourage people with, I think it's so powerful. Again, giving yourself grace, again, I'm gonna keep saying, God, he really answers the whys. God, why was I born into this family? Why was I born like this? Why was I born where my mama don't care? Why was I born where my daddy don't care? Why was I just why? You know what I'm saying? You can be filled with such anger in those moments. But I just want to encourage you here in 13. It says, as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. Here's another one. Just want to encourage you. Last one, 2 Corinthians 6:18. It says, and I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters to me, says the Lord Almighty. Says the Lord Almighty. Yeah, man. Love God, love people. May God bless you. May God keep you.
Yeah, take a risk, don't never take a break. Never. Make it